Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyber Duality, a COcyber podcast. This series is part of the EU-funded COcyber project, exploring how Europe can strengthen the connection between civilian and defense actors in cybersecurity and build a more resilient digital ecosystem. I am Dorina Stanculescu, COcyber's Communication and Dissemination Manager, and in each episode we speak with leading voices who help shape Europe's cyber future. Today I'm joined by Dr. Vilius Benetis from Lithuania. Hello, Vilius.
Hello, everyone.
So, thank you for being here with us. And to begin with, could you tell us a bit about your professional journey and how you became involved in cybersecurity capacity building?
Yes, realistically, it started in 1999 when I was working as a student in night shift work in NOC at Lithuanian Kaunas Technical University. At that time, the first incident response team in Lithuania was being developed, LitNet CERT. I saw that how it was constructed, and then after finishing my studies, going somewhere else studies, and then working a little bit, I joined a company, current company, in 2009, and around 2012 we started working abroad, and our cybersecurity capacity building initiative started not even in Europe. It started in African countries, in Tanzania, in Uganda. They're helping the national CERT. Our biggest boost was in 2015 when we got award for a contract to help Bangladesh government to build national government CSAT. Then followed Bahamas CERT, Malawi, Egypt, as well in Kenya and some other countries. Only afterwards, we came back to Europe with the experience what we have been doing all around the world and assisting Ukraine, Cyprus to establish national CERT, as well our own Lithuanian National Cybersecurity Center, Malta, and then started partnerships with ENISA, EBRD, European Investment Bank, and then jumping to Middle East countries and now working everywhere globally. And all that journey is gradually increasing the competence in the follow work after work, having insights, seeing what works, what doesn't, and this is how building the competence we have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. All around the world, practically. Less in Europe and more around the world. Going a little bit deeper into your experience, you mentioned supporting certs, so we are going to explain this. These are right computer security incident response teams, and also security operation centers, SOCs or SOCs, how we will call them, across different regions. What are the most pressing cybersecurity challenges you see today?
First of all, these names, CSAT, SOC, as well as cybersecurity, is very attractive to everyone. Everybody wants to have some opinion or discuss or raise their concerns. Realistically, these are teams which have particular objectives and they are expected to deliver particular results in the form of service, for example, incident detection or incident resolution or awareness raising, etc. So the challenge is that what exactly are the precise expectations on results? As well, environment expects these organizations to deliver these results professionally organized, means in equal quality, managed quality, clearly understood and worked on common practices. And in all three domains, there are a lot of confusion and misunderstandings. That's where we bring the value as being a Lithuanian service company, assisting teams to clarify what exactly is expected or how you can map your work effort into results, on how to introduce and enforce professional practices of doing the work in cybersecurity, and then what are common practices where we contribute to these common practices around the world. I don't want to mention that it's or tell that it's best practices, because there's no possibility to copy paste from another country, another organization. It's always about finding in your environment what works best. And even for small countries, for example, in East Caribbean, there are four small countries. It seems that you just can copy paste how they should work, but realistically, each of them may have to find individual path to do SOC or CERT services in their own country.
Thank you for this. We are going now to move to COcyber. As you know, COcyber works to strengthen the civilian military collaboration in cybersecurity. Again, from your perspective, how do these communities currently interact and where do you see the main gaps?
The words are a little bit tricky. Civilian, we all understand. Civilian are those who do not wear military uniforms and do not work in the military. And the defense might mean both civilians and military, because in the supply chains of defense technologies, a lot of civilian capabilities are being introduced. And as well, at least in my country, in Lithuania, National Cybersecurity Center is under Ministry of Defense, as well as in military exercises, there are a lot of active reserve, which are almost always civilians, but for some actions become even wear military uniforms. So there's a partial overlap. The word of defense as well, and the use of the language, there are a lot of still confusion. For example, at this moment, ITU, International Telecommunication Union standard X1060 is being renamed. It was published in 2011 under the name of Cyber Defense Center Establishment. And when internationally word defense was instantly associated with the military. So these days, we have a renaming of the standard by putting Cyber Defense Center / Cybersecurity Center, because defense as such gives different connotations. So the wording and how we use the words, for example, cyber operations, typically these are words associated with defense sector and quite often offensive, but offensive different when we say offensive cybersecurity when you do pen testing. So bureaucracy and the language difference is one of the things that we need to pay attention to. And another pathway is the challenging, at least from my experience when I work with both sectors, is the objectives. For example, typically, and even in your introduction, you mentioned about cyber space resilience, how can we do digital resilience. In defense sector, it might be resilience, but quite often, especially in structured military, it's about superiority and against your adversary. So it's not only that you can be resilient, but as well what superiority you can have and maintain against in order to ensure that you can win against your opponents. As well, there are specific words and phrases, for example, cyber situational picture, and how does it integrate into the overall structure of military and defense operations. So these are concerns what I see in Europe, but as well all around the world when defense forces want to introduce cyber in the operations and reverse, and then trying to integrate. So my typically overall perspective is that let's start from resilience, concepts that how to make, for example, defense forces IT technology resilient in cyberspace, or communications resilient, and then on top we bolt on another aspects what we need to think of.
Okay, this was very interesting. It was very interesting to hear you talk about the overlap between cybersecurity and defense. And now that we talked about the gaps, you already started to give some solutions in your prior answer, but I would like you to go more concretely and building on what you answered before. What concrete steps would you take to improve the collaboration between civilian and defense cyber communities?
I think all collaboration starts by talking and working together. So understanding these differences, understanding why these differences exist, and which differences can be bridged and which ones cannot. For example, 2 days ago, I was talking with diplomats from Germany and discussing about cyber aspects in bureaucracy and how much paperwork needs to be done in order to integrate some cyber capabilities, and it's extremely big amount of work. The same with NATO projects, for example. I feel concerned that in case we would win some NATO projects, we'll need to hire ex-colonel just to fill the paperwork, because as in normal life, you don't need so much bureaucracy, so much compliance, so much all the detailed things how you need in defense sector. On another part is, I think, another leg without this working together, understanding what can be bridged and what unfortunately impossible to bridge. It is about creation ecosystems of collaboration, of understanding, of working together and relying on each other. And bigger ecosystems, local ecosystems, and or international European ecosystems where you understand each other, you understand organizational cultures and previous experiences. That brings a lot of possibilities for success. And I see from my own experience working with EDF projects and digital projects, having this experience and touch points with the defense sector is really brings more trust and understanding between the participants, being that defense forces, ministries of defense, as well as technology providers, integrators, and scientists.
Thank you. This is quite interesting. As a person doing communication, I'm quite happy to hear you talk about words like collaboration, trust, understanding. I think these are at the basics of bridging gaps in many sectors, not only in cybersecurity, but for sure in such a impactful and delicate sector, this count even more. Let's close our conversation with a question looking to the future. What developments in the field of cybersecurity do you find most impactful, and what concerns you the most?
I think for me, the idea which I don't have an answer for, but I look at Israel and their path, then at some moment in time when we understood that their technology development is faster than the neighbors or their adversaries, that's not only advantage that you have more superior technology, but as well it's a weakness, because then you need to ensure that it's resilient. So in overall, for me, the question, what I try to focus on, understand systematically how to create technological advances which have features of resilience. So how to even create resilience, because resilience is not only about the hardening and making it more legs to sustain the weight of the capabilities, etc. But it as well about distributed infrastructures, what you can hit any point, but the system still survives and is still resilient. For example, as internet was created as a resilient system, however, now it's being discussed that if you kill or cut some cables, undersea cables, Europe can be disconnected, especially from the Asia if you cut through Gulf current conflict sea cables. So think about the keyword is about resilience and understanding how you're gonna unsurvivability of technological systems, and as long as then we think about this question and have a plan B, what we're gonna do if something happens, I think we're on the right path and going good direction, because now there are a lot of innovations coming from AI, from digital sovereignty, and all other aspects where there's no solutions. I believe that we'll find the solutions by as well considering how to be resilient in meantime as well.
Thank you, Vilius. This is another interesting point. You mentioned sustainability and resilience, but you also gave us some food for thought with the fact that you said every advantage or every strength can also be a weakness or can be turned into a weakness. So I think this is an important food for thought. So, thank you for sharing your insights, for contributing to this episode of Cyber Duality. Your perspective added an important dimension to our conversation on how Europe can strengthen its cyber capabilities. For those listening, you can follow COcyber's work and our upcoming activities on our website, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky pages. We'll be back soon with the next episode and another expert voice shaping Europe's cybersecurity landscape. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.